I don't know what just happened. Your mother just dropped me. That's weird. But back to what I was saying. Every company has guidelines, and every game has rules. And to the extent, why not have something for your life? And shout out to Gold Professor for making the 9 laws of self-govern, which is a great thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right on into it. Law number 1, discipline. Self-explanatory. Law number 2, protect yourself. Law number 3, applied selfishness. You got law number 4, which is read. Law number 5, exercise. Law number, we got, that's 5 and 6. Know yourself. Law number 7, know who you are. So those are interchangeable. Know yourself and know who you are. They're interchangeable. You've always said that those are interchangeable. Law number 8, build something. And law number 9, plant these seeds and be patient. When it comes down to it, we have a lot of people that only move through life without a purpose. That's why I always talk about knowledge of self. People who have knowledge of self, they tend not to, get too many pitfalls. Some people with a kind heart get taken advantage of because, that's the whole thing. Like, you hear stories about the mob and, they have certain rules. The gangs have certain rules. You break those rules, there's consequences behind that. That's you standing on something. So when it comes down to it, a lot of people fail to realize that. Where you're having a situation where you live by a certain standard, sometimes it makes things a little harder for yourself because when everybody else is doing something, you don't want to do that. Take, for example, go for the men and the women. A guy that has a certain standard or a certain way about himself, he's not out here smashing and dashing. He looks at that in a certain way to where he don't shame guys for doing it, but that's not his thing. Then you got women who out here, they have their hot girl summers. The other women, it's profitable, but that's not their thing. So when it comes down to it, like I've always said, when you have knowledge of self, you know what you want. You're not being guided by other people. Nobody's telling you that, doing this or living this way or lifestyle can grant you all kind of wealth. You sit here and you observe the situation. I once heard a pastor say, with his kids, that a guy was trying to tell him that his kids should do this and should do that. And the pastor was like, well, you trying to give me advice about my kids. What about your kids? How are your kids? Show me your kids. And the guy said, well, okay, this is my kids right here. This is my son. He's a lawyer. This is my daughter. She's a doctor. And this is my oldest, which is a professor. He's seen all that, and he came home, implemented that for his kids because he's seen the results. He was looking at the best outcome before he implemented anything. Somebody can come to you and tell you, man, let your kids eat candy. I let my kids eat candy all the time, and my kids are so productive. My kids are the smartest kids because they know every time they do something right, they get a piece of candy. Every time they this. But if you look at the outcome, you'll see it rots your teeth. He never talks about them going to the dentist. There's always a good and a bad into everything. A lot of people don't sit here and observe that for themselves. So that's why they end up having these issues from the good and the bad. APC, I believe I seen your picture before. Might be a new name. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. When it comes down to it, that's why I was talking about the 9 laws of self-government with Gold Professor. You know, it's just plain and simple. A lot of people fail to realize that you live by a certain code, you move a certain way, you get better outcomes. You know, I mean, is that just it? You don't sit here and move with a herd mentality, you know? And shout out to Gold Professor. He's about to go live at 8:30. He's actually finna go live now because he's doing his Friday morning gumbo. But you know, I harp strong on those 9 laws of self-government because it can change your life. It can change things that you know you have that's going on. Living with a purpose, you know. Rule number one being discipline. Having the discipline to do what's right. You know, having discipline to be able to get on a diet and stick to that. You know, having the discipline to go to school, study, and do things the proper way to pass these classes and finish. That's one of the rules for discipline. You got to have discipline in every part of your life. No, you got rule number two, protection. You protect yourself. You know, you can protect others, but the main focus is you. Once you learn to protect yourself, it's easy to protect others, not getting caught up in situations. You know, that's what I say earlier when I was saying about, you know, when someone tells you something, you assess the situation so you won't get taken advantage of. You know, that's the key. Rule number three, applied selfishness. When you apply selfishness, it can be on and off. That's why it's applied to where it's needed, it's applied selfishness because you got to understand if you're not worrying about yourself, who is? 9 times out of 10, nobody's worrying about you but you. When you playing the game to win, nobody's sacrificing themselves for you. How many people run a race and because they like you, they come in second and third place? You know, most of the time they're forced to come in at second or third place. You know, rule number four, read. Not only reading a book, reading the room, reading people around you. I mean, that's key. You know, that's why I always tell go professor, I tell them, you know, certain things we don't agree on, but with the mental part aspect that we talk about a lot, you know, that's needed for a lot of people in every space. Exercise. Not only exercising your mind, exercising your body, you know, you got to exercise. Take care of yourself. Exercise your muscles. Exercise your memory. You know, start to learn how to retain stuff. You know, a lot of people get to a certain age and forget things. You know, short term, long term memory is going. Find ways to learn how to, you know, keep that strength and going. You know, law number 6: know who you are. That's simple. No, and I always use both because he always said they're interchangeable. 6 and 7: know who you are and know your worth. That's just plain and simple. Once you know who you are, that's what I say. Knowledge of self. Once you know who you are, it's easy to know your worth. because you're not gonna sell yourself for less. There's a quote I always hear in a rap song, Killer Mike. Back in the day, I used to always listen to Killer Mike, and one of the things that stuck out in one of his lyrics when he made one of the songs, he said, "If you know what you was worth, if you know what you was worth, you'll ask for more." And that stuck with me with jobs. That's why I laugh at a lot of people when I tell them. I say, man, I always joke with my wife, and my wife be like, "Your boss." I'm like, "He's not my boss." I say, "He might can hire me, he might can fire me, but he can't make me come back to work when I quit, can he?" And she's like, "No." I said, "Well, then he's not my boss. He's my manager. He's the owner of the company, but he only have certain limited liabilities over choices within the company, especially with me. He could tell me go right, I go left. That's my decision." And I'm gonna be quick because go professor's on now, and I'm gonna try to get over there. Last two, build something. When it comes down to it, we have a lot of women that say men are building things, but to a degree, building how, building what? You can build something for yourself. You can build your wealth, you know, not only building yourself, building your wealth, building things that'll perfect you. And like I said, this goes for men or women. It's not just this 9 laws of self-government. It's not just for men. It's not just for women. It's for both parties involved. And the last one is plant these seeds and be patient. A lot of people have a situation to where they want instant gratification. Your first date, you're already married. You, you get into a job, you already, like the older people say, you're counting your chickens before they hatch. You have to literally plant these seeds and be patient. Hey man, I'm about to come over there, man. Like, hey, this is I have to break this down. But like I said, shout out to Go Professor. He's live on the Gumbo, Friday morning Gumbo. But, it's self-explanatory, man. And so that's why I say I give him all the praise with these 9 laws of self-government because it works. It literally works. So for everybody, come on over here to Go Professor channel. And it's Friday morning Gumbo. He's normally funny sometime on Fridays. But we're gonna get into it. All right. Like always, you know what I say? We here and we gone.